Fire Emblem Warriors, a 2017... Hang on a second, guys. Sorry, guys, I just got a notification, and, Nintendo Copy claimed this video, so... Take it away, Nintendo, the review's all yours.
The game is fun.
Tarks Gauntlet.
Fire Emblem Warriors is the latest licensed property Musou game developed by Omega Force, Team Ninja, and Intelligent Systems, and published by Nintendo and Koei Tecmo for the Nintendo Switch on October 20th, 2017. For those who do not know what a Musou game is, it would make sense to lump this in with a hack-and-slash genre, but with a more particular blend. Areas are generally very open and involve enemy and allied forts that the player must take over. In this style of game, there are always a ton of characters to choose from, and they all play like Sauron from the beginning of the Lord of the Rings movies. Thousands of enemies come at you at once, and you hit them 50 at a time with a single swing. A pretty good way to feel like a badass and have some mindless fun. At least that's true for most Musou games, but how does Fire Emblem Warriors hold up? So let's start with the story. Of course, this is set in the Fire Emblem universe. However, most of these characters do not exist in the same place at the same time, and so we need something to bring them together. This unification of forces begins with our new original characters. In the land of Atolis, our royal twins Rowan and Leanna are in a dispute over who will inherit the throne. When seemingly out of nowhere, the hand of God drops a few portals into the sky and pukes enemies into the kingdom. A mad dash to escape ensues, separating the twins from their mother, who just manages to get the Shield of Flames into their hands before she is whisked away. Around this time, the twins learn that Oscar, the ruler of a neighboring kingdom, is attempting to raise the ancient dragon Velizark from the dead so that he might pursue some devious machination. To prevent this plan from coming to fruition, the Shield of Flame must be filled with gleamstones and powered up. This becomes our main quest. Along the way, the twins will meet many characters from other Fire Emblem games, as they were also pulled in through the same portals the enemies came through. Now, this game is not canon, so we are not going to get into what this does to the ongoing narrative of the Fire Emblem games. Let's just say it takes a lot of liberties, and we'll leave it at that. Now, that's the basic premise of the game. Aside from meeting new characters, everything I just mentioned will happen within the first hour of the game. Nothing else story significant will happen until about the 6-hour mark, and by the 8.5-hour mark, the game is over. The game is divided into 20 chapters, and the story really only unfolds during Chapter 1 and Chapters 16 through 20. Chapters 2 to 15 are mostly filler and character introductions. The character introductions all resemble how they happened in the original game, and this is great fan service, but there's a huge narrative problem here. All these references are great to throw into a story, but when they're happening, the story isn't really building or going anywhere. These references are a stand-in for a story. And overall, this just strikes me as weak. Narratively, the game is very weak, but it set up what it needed to set up to get into the Musou action. So how is the action? Well, it's your basic Musou action. There's really not much to say here. Y for light attacks, X for heavy, combo your way through the masses, take over forts and outposts, and take on the occasional boss. The weapon triangle from previous Fire Emblem games is in effect. If you don't know what that is, it's a basic system that dictates enemy strengths and weaknesses based on the weapon they use. This meter here charges with attacks, and when used will bypass the weapon triangle for a period of time. When the time is up, you will launch a large attack that truly is quite the spectacle. This meter here is for other large attacks. When it's charged, simply press A and you'll launch one of your biggest attacks. If you have a support character in your reserve who also has this meter charge, you will both use your big attacks simultaneously. You can switch between heroes on the fly using the D-pad and lock onto enemies with L. Most of the rest of the battle is pretty standard stuff. It's all quite fun, but doesn't do anything really new. In fact, I find this a step back in terms of battle mechanics from 2014's Hyrule Warriors. Sadly, it seems like this is just the way warrior games are going at the moment. Perhaps due to an overabundance of them in development at once, with this being the third Musou game released by this company this year. It's still fun, but it's leaving a bit to be desired. The battle system is just above being bare bones for the genre. The game does incorporate a leveling system. Each kill grants XP, and you level up actively while in combat. You also raise relationship levels with characters by using them as support characters. These relationship levels grant special bonuses when leveled up high enough. Prior to battle, you can order units to venture in specific directions, or give them specific orders such as who to guard in battle. This part is the part that most resembles the original Fire Emblem games. Orders can be updated during battle as well. Using scavenged items, you can level up skills in the skill tree between battles. I said earlier that this game took me 8 hours and 35 minutes to beat. That was on normal difficulty with permadeath on, having lost one character along the way in Chapter 5. This is just an estimate, but I'm rather certain at least 35% of this game was spent in the menus. This isn't because there's a whole hell of a lot to do here, and I can't even say it's because the menus are disorganized. If anything, they're over-organized. They're organized to a fault. Every menu you open is like a Matryoshka doll. It's actually really annoying. If you want to change everybody's equipped weapon, you can't just go to an equip screen and press L or R to cycle through characters. You have to back out 2 menus, choose a new character, open 2 more menus, and then do what you gotta do. It just becomes an annoyance really fast, and there's honestly no excuse for it. This becomes a huge time vampire when you literally have to switch everybody's equipped items. The skill trees too suffer from bad menu design. While you can cycle through characters in the skill trees are broken into 3 sub-menus when they could easily all fit on one page. Menu navigation overall is just a pain. It honestly just comes off as a little bit cheap and a little bit lazy, and laziness tends to rear its ugly head all over this game. Even things like the dialogue segments. When a character is talking, if they are facing left and they need to turn to face right, they simply mirror the image rather than have a new drawn one. And this would be fine if the characters were literally symmetrical down the middle, but they're not, and it just throws perspective way off. Even if you don't have the attention to detail to notice that this is what they've done, you'll still feel something weird is going on when it happens. Really, all this menu bullshit has me scratching my head in annoyance, but I have one major problem left I want to address. With this game, let's talk about the multiplayer. Yes, this game has multiplayer. It is limited to local co-op with no known plans of online support, but I'm absolutely fine with this. What I'm not fine with is how the game performs. In the settings menu, you can switch the game between quality mode and performance mode. Quality mode runs the game in 1080p at 30 FPS with all the bells and whistles. Performance mode strips many of the visual assets and runs the game in 720 at 60 FPS. This is an amazing feature I think any sub 60 FPS game should have, but sadly, though it works wonders in single player, it's got a ways to go to be useful in multiplayer. On multiplayer, this is a very inconsistent 60. I'll ask for some forgiveness here because all my footage is in 30 FPS, you'll only be able to see the frame drops that go below 30. But the performance mode frame rate is inconsistent to a level that when it's at its best it's disorienting, and when it's at its worst it's nauseating, with the frame rate constantly bouncing anywhere between 25 and 60 FPS. Strangely, I'm only seeing a few scattered people even talking about this, though I myself find it to be a big deal. Brief periods run fine, but these are very fleeting. Performance mode will also cause most of the enemies to be despawned, or some enemies to lag severely upon spawning, to the point where they might even spawn while striking you. Occasionally, a good deal of the sound effects will even drop out.
Leave it to me.
Pile all of this on top of some rather ugly visuals and severe pop-in, and you lose a lot of the fun of multiplayer, and the game can become quite headache-inducing. How Hyrule Warriors handled it better 3 years ago on a weaker console, but we can't get it right here, I just don't understand. If you're looking for a multiplayer game, I'd steer away from this one for those purposes. Unless, of course, you're one of those people who literally can't tell when you drop 10 frames. As a single-player experience, I can give it a pass, but it's just sliding by. It's so bare bones in its combat. The story is overall lazy, and the dialogue oftentimes is just beyond terrible. In single player, it runs fairly fine, even in quality mode, but multiplayer is inexcusable no matter how you go about it. The runtime of the game, after subtracting the time you spend in over-organized menus, is around the 6-hour mark. If you want more time out of the game, you will have History Mode, where you get to play out some more of the memorable battles from previous Fire Emblem games, only it's in the warrior style. History Mode honestly has the best writing and most interesting and varied battles and locations, but given the source material, this shouldn't be surprising. The music is okay, but far from memorable, and the visuals, when at their best, are just pretty okay as well. At the very least, on solo, it is still a fun game to hack and slash your way through, despite literally everything outside of the battles, and that might make it just worth it. And that's all I'm gonna say about Fire Emblem Warriors, guys. I know this was a particularly negative review, but I think I wasn't unfair in handing out where the positives and negatives in this package lie. Depending on what you want this game for, it's gonna be two different things. It's either gonna be a pretty fun hack and slash or a slog of an experience. So make your decisions wisely. If this helped at all, you guys know the deal. Agree, disagree, leave a comment below. And as always, thanks for watching. Hey, can you pass me that game we were talking about earlier? Yeah, I'm not seeing it here. It's alphabetized. It's under F. No, I'm not seeing it there. No, you're looking under F from 2001 to 2002. You gotta look under F from 2002 to 2003. No, it's... Oh, right, you're looking under F from 2002 to 2003 without first translating it with these astrological charts. Okay, I get it now. Xenosaga Episode 2. Why are you holding a microphone?